are always saying to me, Jimmy, why do you always stir the pot? Why do you come up with the most off-the-wall things to talk about? Why do you have to say some of the things you say? Some of the things you talk about, it's not even relevant. Why do you say what you say? So you know what I did? I went out and I got my own platform because here on this show, it's all relevant. Hello and welcome to the show, episode 3 of It's All Relevant. We're looking forward to a good show today on this Monday, February the 3rd. So I'm at a birthday party this week and I'm talking to some people about the podcast and, they're telling me, hey, listen, we've really enjoyed, listening to it. And you definitely say some things that are off the wall and, we never heard you talk like that. And I was like, well, there's things I can say on my podcast that, I can't really say as a pastor. I don't want to be offensive as a pastor. I don't want to marginalize people. And I don't try to marginalize people or intentionally be that person that tries to offend people. But I'm at this birthday party this week. I'm talking to the people about the podcast. We talked about some of the things and topics that we've brought up. And one of the ladies says this: do you have to talk about sports? I mean, every time you talk about sports, I just kind of tune out until you're done. Do I have to talk about sports? Short answer, yes. I have to talk about sports. Sports are a very relevant part of the world we live in. And we're going to talk about them on our show. Listen, if you want to tune out during that time, if you want to turn the volume down during that time, if you want to go wash some dishes, bake some cookies, start some laundry, or maybe you're at work and you want to do some tasks that you need to do at work during this time that I'm talking about sports, then that's fine. It's not going to bother me. And apparently, they like the rest of it. They just don't like the sports talk. But yes, we are going to talk about sports. So go ahead, tune out for a few minutes, ladies, while I tell you and the rest of the world, I told you so, concerning the North Carolina Duke basketball game or disaster or nightmare that happened Saturday night. Listen, I predicted this. I told you this was going to happen. I told you in advance, Carolina fans, not to expect any other outcome than what we saw Saturday night. I said, let's go ahead and tell our Duke friends good game. Let's go ahead and give them our high fives. Let's go ahead and, pat them on the back, congratulate them. I mean, we swept the series last year. And it seems like it does kind of go back and forth. They win, we win, they win, we win. But this year, it's looking like 2 Duke wins the 2 times they're going to play Carolina. Because this past Saturday night, this Carolina team showed no fight. They showed no effort. And the culprit behind their abysmal play, their head coach, Hubert Davis, tells the media after the game that he's so proud of his team. What exactly are you proud of them for doing, Hubert? For losing? For giving absolutely no effort? For being down by 32 points at one point in the game? For allowing the moment to be too big? Hubert Davis cannot be gone fast enough. See how short sports was this episode? I did it for the ladies. Actually, I'm not done yet. Our son had a soccer tournament this weekend, and his team won the tournament. It was a big showcase tournament in Charlotte, North Carolina. He had 4 shutouts, so he had a shutout every single game as the goalkeeper. He won the tournament MVP, totally stopping the other team in overtime and penalty kicks of the championship game. So they're going into penalty kicks. It's 0-0 after regulation and overtime. They go into penalty kicks, and he shut them out. None shall pass, in the words of Gandalf, he was saying as they were kicking these penalty kicks. Now let's stop for a second. He was just invited to a showcase camp for the Ivy League colleges this June and has accepted the offer to go. If anyone who went to high school with me or knew me back then, can you imagine a child of mine being invited to go to an Ivy League school? I brought this up to my sister. I said, can you imagine a child of Jimmy Queen being asked to go to an Ivy League college? And she looked at me, a smile on her face, but I knew she was being serious, and she said no. I just had to agree with her. I mean, my grades would have barely got me into barber college, much less an Ivy League school. But it has happened. My daughter, too. My daughter at one time had the highest GPA in her college, made great grades, graduated high school at 15 years old, being totally out on her own and teaching English at 19 years old. Needless to say, my kids have outpaced me by miles. By miles. Now, I did make good grades when I went to college. And the only reason I didn't make good grades in high school is because I never studied. I'm just being totally honest. I very rarely did homework, and I never studied. Some of you guys that went to high school with me, you can comment amen on this in the comments because you know it's true. When it came down to brass tacks, when it came down to me being able to academically stay on a sports team, or I had to have a certain grade in order to graduate high school, I buckled down, I studied, and I got the top grade on tests when I studied. It's just I never studied. And because I never studied and never applied myself, I never did well in school. Until I got to college and I learned, okay, I just spent 4 years in the Marine Corps to pay for my college. I better take this seriously. So I studied. I was on the dean's list. I was on the president's list. My first 2 years of college, I never missed a question on a test. So studying works. And I've preached that to both of my kids. I said, listen, guys, especially my son, dude, I know all the tricks of the trade. I know everything that you can possibly do to slouch off, to try to tell me you don't have homework, to, try to pass things off. It's not going to happen, man. I know I invented most of those things that you're trying to do now. It's not going to work on me. And really, if we're being honest, and this is no fault of hers, okay? If we're being honest, I'm around as a father a lot more than my dad was. And it is not his fault. He was in the Navy. The Navy said, you're going out to sea. And he got deployed. And he was gone a lot of my high school years. He was gone. And it was just me and my mom. My sister was in college for some of it, married for the rest of it. And, of course, she was out of the house. We lived in Charleston, South Carolina. She lived in North Carolina. And it was just me and mom. And for a son, let's just be honest here, moms. All right. Go ahead and start shaking your head, yes. For a mom, it's easy for your boys to manipulate you. Come on now. You know I'm telling you the truth. It's easy for boys. I mean, you are mama's baby, especially if you're the baby. You are mom's little baby. Let me tell you about what my son, as the baby in my house, let me tell you what this dude gets. I've been married to my wife for almost 24 years. March the 3rd will be 24 years. And during those 24 years that she and I have been married, I can count the number of times on one hand that I have gotten breakfast in bed, that I have gotten any kind of, not special treatment. Not to say my wife doesn't do things for me and love me. She does. She does a lot more than I deserve, okay? I'm not saying that. She's a great woman. She's a great wife. I love her dearly, and I'm grateful for her. I know that I don't deserve her. But let me tell you what she does for my son. If I can count on one hand how many times in 24 years I get breakfast in bed, this dude can count on one hand how many times per week he gets breakfast in bed. This lady gets up every morning. She'll make him Belgian waffles. She'll make him, breakfast burritos or eggs and toast and bacon and this, that, and the other. Or she'll get his toaster strudels all done, and she'll take him in there with a glass of milk or whatever it is he wants to drink that morning, and she'll have it all ready for him. That's what mamas do for their baby boys. So I know it was easy for me to manipulate my mom. For some reason, she trusted me. I still don't know why. She's not a gullible person. It's not easy to get things over on mom, but it was pretty easy back then. Jimmy, have you done your homework? Sure. And my philosophy was, well, I have done homework at some point in time in my life. So I'm not lying to her altogether, even though when she would ask me if I did my homework, my grades bore the fruit of whether or not I did my homework. Have you studied for the test? Absolutely. I might have not studied very much. I would never just flat out lie to her, but I probably also never told her 100% the truth. So when it came down to it, when I had to have the grade, me and mom would spend an hour or two in the evening going over the test for the next day. And she would quiz me, and she would quiz me, and she would quiz me until I had it all, because I either needed the grade to play sports or I needed the grade to graduate. And so I say that to say my son didn't have a chance because I knew all the tricks of the trade. All right, let's get into the tracker to see what Trump has done since our last episode. We're doing this. We're following to see whether or not he keeps his campaign promises. He has reopened the Keystone Pipeline. Wonderful. He has found over 80,000 missing children. So, Immigration and Customs Enforcement estimates that some 340 to 360,000 children went missing during the Biden administration. Man, what a number. Where do 340,000 children go that nobody sees? Well, 80,000 of them in the first 2 weeks, really in the first week of the Trump administration, have been found. This week, Donald Trump announced he wants to get rid of all income tax. Man, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Here's the only thing bad about getting rid of the income tax. And it's not bad from my perspective, and it's probably not bad from anybody's perspective that works a job. But people that don't work, people that live off the government, people that live off of welfare, people that live off of child support, they are not going to like the fact that if we don't have an income tax, they're not going to have a gigantic income tax return. But as a working person that pays taxes, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with having, another $2,000, $3,000 per month from not having an income tax. Donald Trump has deported thousands of violent illegal immigrants, sending the most violent to Guantanamo Bay. Man, I like that. He has sent the Army Corps of Engineers into western North Carolina to start rebuilding. Thank God the government's doing something for western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, northwest Georgia, who got hammered by Hurricane Helene and haven't had a shred of help from the United States government until Donald Trump becomes president. And I know it seems like I come on here every week and I sing the praises of Donald Trump. And I hate that because, as I have told you, I am not a Trump guy. But I am for somebody in the government doing something to better the lives of the people in this country. He opened water supply to California. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, said it couldn't be done. Donald Trump sends the army up there. They turn a valve. Guess what starts flowing? Water. He made peace between Hamas and Israel. He's dismantled diversity, equity, and inclusion. He restarted border wall construction. He's declassified the JFK, RFK, and MLK assassinations. I'm just noticing this. And this is how my mind works, so forgive me. But JFK, RFK, MLK, all three of these guys had a last name that started with the letter K, and they were all assassinated. If you have a last name starting with the letter K, watch your back. Watch your back. Got Saudi Arabia to invest $600 billion into the U.S. economy. Ukraine only wants our money, but Donald Trump gets the Saudis to invest $600 billion into our economy. He's negotiated the release of American hostages in Venezuela and other foreign countries. He fired the traitor, General Milley, one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who instituted a woke military. Told, when the last time Trump was president, told China, listen, if Trump wants to do something, don't worry, I'll tell you in advance. That is treasonous activity. And this dude needs to be court-martialed, and there is a penalty for treason in the United States. And it is the death penalty. You do not forsake your country or give vital national security information to one of your enemies. He imposed tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. And we're only in week 2. Okay, but as far as the tariffs on Canada go and China go, Jimmy, won't prices go up? They may go up before they come down. But the tariffs weren't put in place to cause prices to go up. They were put in place to stem the tide of illegal immigrants and dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl from coming into the United States. So why those 3 countries? Why Canada? Why Mexico? Why China? Okay, well, China supplies the chemicals used to make fentanyl. Mexico takes the chemicals and manufactures the drug and allows mass illegal migration across our border, bringing the drug in. Canada doesn't do anything to protect the border. And let me tell you about the tariffs that Canada has put on the United States for many years. They're all up in arms about Trump putting a 25% tariff on products coming into the United States from Canada. Let me tell you about some of the products and the tariffs that Canada is charging the United States for some things. Here it is. Canada has put a 270% tariff on all milk and dairy related products with the exception of cheese coming into the United States. When it comes to cheese, they put a 245% tariff on cheese. They put a 298% tariff on butter. They put a 238% tariff on chicken. They put a 69.9% tariff on sausage. They put a 57.8% tariff on barley seed. They put a 26.5% tariff on meat, bovine. They put a 25% tariff on automobiles. They put a 45% tariff on all HVAC and HVAC supplies. They put a 35% tariff on vacuum cleaners. They put a 35% tariff on cable boxes. They put a 45% tariff on TVs. They put a 25% tariff on steel. They put a 45% tariff on aluminum. They put a 48% tariff on copper. Plus, every year we subsidize Canada with billions and billions of dollars and assist them in providing the defense for their country. Excuse me. It's okay for them to put 270% tariffs on milk, 238% tariffs on chicken, 57.8% tariffs on barley, 45 and 48% tariffs on aluminum and copper. But the world goes crazy when Trump wants to put a 25% tariff on them? I think that given all of what we just heard, a 25% tariff to protect your border and help stop the flow of illegals and illegal drugs is perfectly fine. I don't order Canadian bacon on my pizza anyway. I think the maple syrup that comes out of Canada is way too thick. I'm fine not buying anything Canadian. Of course, the country is mourning the loss of people involved in 2 airplane-related accidents. The first one occurred over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. earlier in the week when an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines passenger jet carrying over 60 people, including members of the U.S. national figure skating team and their families. While nothing conclusive has come out stating the cause of the accident, there is a lot of finger pointing going around, including from some Democrat lawmakers who blame Trump for the accident, as if he were a pilot flying one of these aircraft. You cannot make this stuff up. Excuse me. Some are bringing up the fact that the pilot of the helicopter was a lesbian woman with low flying scores. Now listen, I don't think personally that someone's sexual preference has anything to do with their ability to fly a helicopter. So this idea, to me, is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure this lady that was flying this helicopter didn't want to die. I don't care what her sexual preference was. She probably didn't want to die. So it's ridiculous for people to blame this lady's sexual preference on the accident. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be blaming the accident on her sexual preference. When it comes to this story, we should just leave her sexual preference out of it. Now, if she did in fact have low piloting scores, then yes, that should be a red flag, but not her sexual preference. I mean, come on. Let me pause for a second. I know I got a little carried away in my last episode talking about the Starbucks employees. I'm sure I made some people upset. But here's the truth of the matter. You know that I follow the Bible and believe what it says about same-sex relationships. But that being said, I love all people. I want all people to do well. If any part of the LGBT plus community, as a pastor, if any part of that community walked into my church on Sunday morning, they would be welcome. They would absolutely 100% be welcome. We would love on them. We would show compassion toward them. We would do everything in our power to make sure that they felt welcomed and loved. We wouldn't support their sin, but we will always, and I will always, love the sinner. Why? Because I was a sinner. I'm still a sinner. I'm just a sinner saved by the grace of God right now. And it's our duty as the children of God to show and express the love of God into the lives of people, even if we don't agree with what they're doing. Will I preach against that sin? Absolutely. It is sin. There's no sugarcoating it. We're not going to support it. I'm not going to support it. We're not going to try to justify it. But if anybody in that community called me, hey, Pastor, I need some help, I would do everything in my power to help that person. Okay, the second airplane accident happened in a small plane over downtown Philadelphia. And like the first, the cause is yet to be determined. We do know that it was a medevac airplane. Terrible tragedies. Let's all make sure we are praying for the families and doing what we can to be a source of comfort and aid. A massive protest by illegal aliens in downtown Los Angeles happened over the weekend. I guess if I'm Immigration Customs Enforcement, I'm sending these people a thank you card. I mean, thanks for all gathering in one place and making it easy for us to find you. Listen, I do have a heart contrary to what you believe. I am sympathetic to those that have been in our country for a long time, to those that are good people. But the facts are still the facts. And the facts are that if you are here illegally, you need to go back to your country of origin and come back to America the right way. And I hate how this is going to affect people's lives. I hate how it's going to affect the lives of children. But these things should have been thought about before you broke the law and came into our country illegally. I wish them safety. I pray they're able to come back to the United States legally. But the truth is the truth, guys, and we can't just ignore facts and ignore truth because our heart goes out to people. Yes, it's okay for our heart to go out to people, and my heart goes out to the good men, women, and children who are going to be affected by this immigration. Because there are good folks that live in the United States. They've been good people in America, but they've never been citizens because they didn't come here the right way. So the very first thing they did by crossing the American border was break an American law. That's the first thing you did as someone living in America is you broke a law. You need to be deported and come back. Listen, most countries around the world, most countries in South America have a much more strict, much more stringent policy on immigration than the United States does. There's some countries where if you're caught illegally in their country, you're killed. You're executed without very much due process. So, does this uproot families from their lives? Yes, it does. But the truth is the truth, the facts are the facts, and things have to happen the way that they're happening. All right, ladies, on to just a little bit more sports. I promise I'll be done. We do have two teams set for the Super Bowl. Those are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. They will play next Sunday for the football crown. And the powers that be have asked John Baptiste to sing the national anthem. And Christian superstar Lauren Daigle will be singing America the Beautiful. Joining them in performing will be rap music megastar Kendrick Lamar doing the halftime show. Seriously? I mean, seriously. When are the organizers of the Super Bowl going to give us something else than rap or hip hop during halftime of the Super Bowl? Yes, you can obviously tell that is not my preferred genre of music. But it seems like every year we get half-dressed people coming onto a stage at the Super Bowl, dancing and gyrating to some kind of music. You can't understand what they're saying. You can't understand what they're singing. It's more about their dance and not about their singing. When are the organizers of this halftime show going to come to the realization that maybe we should try something different? This is a yearly thing now. Good grief. Talk about being out of touch with America. That would be the organizers of the Super Bowl halftime show. The new head of the Democratic National Convention is pushing for defunding the police and abolishing immigration, customs, and enforcement. They also brought new gender-affirming ideas to their platform and operating their recent vote for a new leader as a parody by some in the party. There's people within the Democratic Party that are looking at the Democratic National Committee and their vote they had for a new leader over the weekend. Some of the Democratic Party are looking at this saying, my goodness, didn't we learn anything from November? Did we not just get our rear end handed to us? Losing a landslide election because we were pushing this stuff? And instead of not pushing it anymore, we're going to double down on this. It's crazy. It's like they've learned nothing from November. America, by and large, rejected the idea of defunding the police and pushing gender affirmation down our throats. Goodness gracious, you would think they would have learned, but no, not this Democratic Party. They want to double down on everything that just made them lose so badly in November. Well, the groundhog has spoken, and we are getting 6 more weeks of winter, much to the chagrin of my spring and summer loving friends. I'm a winter guy. I like winter. And I can hear the voices and see the looks on some people's faces already. Yeah, we can tell, Jimmy, you're a cold-hearted person. We know. We know you like winter. Just by some of the things you say, some of the ways you act, you obviously are cold-hearted. No, there's no doubt that you love winter. Yeah. Let me leave you with a Bible verse of the day. Psalm chapter 119, verse 165. Great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. We live in a day and age where it seems like everything offends everybody. You cannot hardly go an entire week without hearing somebody say they were offended by something. Stop getting mad and offended over everything that people do and everything that people say. If you love the law of God, you'll just let it roll off you with great peace and contentment. Fall back in love or if you've never been there, fall in love with the laws and the ways of the God that made America. Because whether you like it or not, whether you're an atheist, whether you're agnostic, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to matter in eternity. But for the point we're talking about right now, it doesn't matter. Because whether you understand it, know it, like it, accept it, America was founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. It just was. And America is today the superpower of the world because of the God on which it was founded. So fall in love with his law and stop being offended over everything. All right. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you on Thursday.